All right. Well, I know you guys are gonna be saying, "Oh, here we go again with this topic," and I know you guys are sick of hearing this topic. But let's be honest, guys. This isn't gonna go away. Um, every day something comes out from either Wilder side or Eddie Hearn side. They continue to talk about this everywhere Eddie Hearn goes, or everywhere Deontay Wilder goes, or anywhere that Anthony Joshua goes. People are going to ask about this topic. So recently, this week, news came out that Deontay Wilder had said that in order for this Anthony Joshua fight to happen between him and Anthony Joshua, he is going to have to get 50%. So it's going to have to be a 50-50 split, or this fight ain't going to happen, according to Deontay Wilder. And Eddie Hearn recently said in an IFL interview that he doesn't believe that Deontay Wilder is worth 50-50. Again, I'm getting sick of going back and forth with taking the sides and this and that. I mean, only two people are really talking right now, and that's Deontay Wilder and Eddie Hearn. Like these are the only two people that are really responding and making claims to the press and putting stuff out there for us to grab headlines and make videos about, and for journalists to write articles about. So this topic is ongoing, and obviously the blame game is going to go back and forth. But here's a few things. I mean, I'm just going to speak my mind here. Um, obviously Anthony Joshua has more belts. He's the more popular fighter. Um, arguably, he draws, more money than Deontay Wilder. Uh, that's the perception. How we can determine that, because again, we don't really know actually what these guys make, but I think it's safe to assume, given the crowds and the pay-per-view buys that Joshua does over in the UK, that he's generating more revenue at this point in time than Deontay Wilder. I mean, we could assume that. And again, I hate we're gonna have to play the accounting game here too, which is something else that people complain about. But again, this is what it is. This is the era of boxing now. I mean, this is what it's turned into. It's turned into us talking more about the business, not just me, not just you guys, not just YouTubers, but everybody. I mean, the fighters. Floyd Mayweather created this, talking, always talking about money. So this is the legacy that Floyd Mayweather left behind. Whether it's good or bad, you could argue that it's better for the fighters, because now the fighters are making more money than they've ever made before. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is just part of the sport, and obviously, we're not accountants and stuff like that. But this is a big part of the sport, and this is a big reason why fights don't get made. Okay, so we've been hearing all along what Deontay Wilder isn't worth, and each and every time, more money gets put on the table. That's just a fact. That can't be denied. They said 12 and a half, and then they said that's all he's worth. Then they came back with 15, and they said that was the final offer. And now they're saying, or they were saying, that they were going to give him $100 million for 3 fights. So, whether you agree upon that, whether he should have signed that deal or not, I can see his point why he didn't want to sign it, because he didn't want to be locked in for 3 fights. He just wanted the one fight, and he wanted back end pay-per-view money on the fight, because he believes, and like I do, that the fight is a real big fight, and he believes, and I believe also, and I agree with him, that the fight would do pretty well on pay-per-view. So I understand from a fan standpoint, it's better to have the fight on DAZN and pay only $10 instead of paying the pay-per-view price. But from the fighter's perspective, they're leaving a lot of money on the table. Or Deontay Wilder believes he's leaving a lot of money on the table if the fight is not on pay-per-view. So I respect that. I respect that. But Eddie Hearn is a funny cat, man, because he said that he's not going to talk about it anymore. He's not going to say anything disparaging anymore about the other side, because he doesn't want to jeopardize the fight. But then he comes out and says, well, he's not worth, 50-50. And then he turns around and says, even if we did offer him the 50-50, he probably wouldn't take it. I don't think he wants to fight. So once again, you're trying to make the fight, but you're still attacking the other side. Instead of trying to build bridges, you're building walls again. And that's what aggravates me about the guy. You know, Bob Arum made a statement that he's always doing the interviews, he's always out in front of the camera. And Eddie Hearn responded to that by saying, "Well, I'm trying to build my brand. I'm trying to promote my fighters. I'm trying to put my brand and my fighters out there." So my response to that is, okay, that's great that you're out there doing that, and I commend you for staying. Once the event's over, you're staying till 2 a.m. and giving interviews to every single person. That's great. But again, what about the fighters? Like Deontay Wilder's constantly talking to the press. He's constantly being interviewed. He's constantly, stating his case to the public and to the fans via the press. But you're the one that's speaking for all your fighters. Your fighters aren't the ones doing the interviews. So it's like, put your fighters out there. Put Anthony Joshua out there. Don't put you should not be the face of boxing or British boxing. You should not be the face of British boxing. If AJ is the man, then let AJ speak like Deontay Wilder speaks. So that's my problem with that whole thing. But again, you're sitting there attacking the other side, and then you seem to say that the fight is only worth $80 million. So they offered $40 million off of 80, basically, according to you. So that's a 50-50 split, isn't it, Eddie? So if you said the fight was only worth $80 million and Deontay Wilder was getting 40, then that's 50-50, right, Eddie? But see, you told on yourself because you're always telling on yourself with contradictions. Because you just said Deontay Wilder doesn't deserve 50-50. And then you turned around earlier and said, even before that statement, when he turned down the DAZN deal, when you didn't think it was a good idea for him to turn down that deal because you only thought that this was an $80 million fight. And, $80 million, when I say $80 million, that means that the fighters, when all is said and done, have $80 million to split up. And you're saying, well, Deontay Wilder's getting 40 of that. So, it's basically 50-50. But it's not 50-50 because now you're turning around and saying that Wilder doesn't deserve 50-50. So I think you lied a little bit, and you knew Joshua was going to be getting more than $40 million, obviously. And I'm not complaining about that. So evidently, you do believe that the fighters will split more than just $80 million. Because if you believe that the fighters were only going to split $80 million and Deontay Wilder was going to get 40 million, then it would have been revealed what AJ was getting when Deontay Wilder's team asked for it. So that's the thing. That's the thing. Again, with your inconsistencies, because you're saying that what Deontay Wilder doesn't deserve 50-50, but yet you said the fighters were splitting 80 million between them, and that's all the fight is worth. That's all you said that was going to be left over for the fighters. It was only 80 million, which I don't think you truly believe that. You only said that in order so you would, so Wilder would be happy with that 40 million, and you could sell it to the press that Wilder, was getting 50-50 when he really wasn't. In my opinion, at the very least, conservatively, this fight does, when it's all said and done, the fighters will have, I believe, in my opinion, in between $100 and $120 million to split. Bare minimum, $100 million. So, it could even be more than that if you on Joshua's side, because he's going to be getting that Sky money. So, I think there's more than 100. I honestly believe conservatively it's 100, but I'm thinking more on the lines of 120 million, to be perfectly honest with you. When you add everything in, U.S. pay-per-view and U.K. pay-per-view and the live gate and the sponsors and all, and then when they sell the broadcast rights to all these countries, there's a lot of money on the table for these fighters. I'm going to say 120 million. So if Deontay Wilder's only getting 40 of that, then that leaves 80 for Joshua, and that's a 70-30 split. So which is it, Eddie? Is it 80 million and Deontay Wilder's getting 40 and Joshua's getting 40? Or what is it? That's my problem with Eddie Hearn, is the inconsistencies. So I'm not going to sit here and say who's worth what. But, Gennady Golovkin asked for 50-50 too. He asked for it. Manny Pacquiao asked for 50-50. I mean, this is not, abnormal for fighters to ask for as much as they believe they can get. And we keep telling this guy that he's not worth this, he's not worth that. But each and every time we say that, more and more money as time goes on gets put on the table in front of him. Said he wasn't worth 15 million, and then now he's just recently offered 40. So, in my opinion, this fight is so big that even if they do go 50-50 on it, both fighters would stand to make, again, bottom end here, now, total conservative numbers here. Both guys would be making 50 million apiece, which is something that Anthony Joshua's never made 50 million in a fight. Supposedly he's getting 32 million. Supposedly he's getting 32 million for this Big Baby Miller fight, which is going to be in New York, and it's going to be in America. It's going to be a huge fight. So even if he gets 50 million, that's $18 million more than he's getting for this Miller fight. So they want to sit there. Everyone wants to sit there and call Deontay Wilder greedy, and Deontay Wilder's team's being greedy. But if both guys can make 50 million apiece, and I think they can make more than that. I think the fight has the potential to be a blockbuster, to be honest with you. But conservatively, if these guys go 50-50, they can, at the bare minimum, make 50 million apiece each. What's wrong with that, Anthony Joshua? What's wrong with that, Eddie Hearn? They want to make 80 million, and they want Wilder to get 40. And you could say what you want about who's more popular, who's bigger. We already get that, but this fight is huge because of both men. This fight is huge because people are interested in both of these men fighting. So I think both guys bring a lot to the table when it comes to piquing the fans' interests. So what's going to happen now? Because Tyson Fury's asking for 50-50 too. So he's not going to. So if you say no to Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, what else is out there? What other big name is out there for you? And Dillian White is not going to agree to 50-50 in a rematch if he wins. So it's not just Deontay Wilder. Like even Kubrat Pulev had issues dealing with Eddie Hearn when they were negotiating for a fight as well. So it's not just Deontay Wilder. Every fighter is going to want to get the most they can get. So if you're going to call one side greedy, then you're going to call the other side greedy too. Because even with the 50-50 split, it's still going to be both men's highest payday ever by far. So it is what it is. It is what it is. So you got a guy, Tyson Fury, who doesn't even have a belt, who's asking 50-50, then, I mean, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? The U.S. pay-per-view market does not support those numbers. Why are UK people making comments about what the U.S. market can do when they don't have any data to support their claims? If the fight does 1 million pay-per-view buys at $85 a piece, then just do the math. That's 85 million. And then if the fight does the fight in the UK could possibly do 1.6 million pay-per-view buys. That's another 50 million. So you got 85 plus 50. That's 135 million. Then you got a $25 million, $25 to $27 million live gate. Okay? So do the math now. Like just do the math. Look at all the when you add everything in. It would not require over 1 million pay-per-view buys in the US market. It would not. Even with the deductions. You take the deductions out on both sides. There's still $120 million left. All you got to do is do the math. It's not that hard to do. You're being so stubborn and hard-headed. It's just very embarrassing how you don't know how to add. 85 million plus 50 million from the UK plus 10 million, okay? Plus 10 million in sponsors, plus 27 million live gate. That's 172 million right there. And what about the broadcast, the broadcast rights for foreign countries? That's not even added in this. That's 172 million. Okay, so if you take the percentages and you divide that, I mean, there's $100 million, $120 million left. Got $172 million even without the broadcast rights. You don't divide the whole thing in half. Not the whole thing. Because the UK doesn't do it like that. And people think it's 50-50, but actually, from what I was told, the broadcast people only take 40%. It's not even half, to be perfectly honest with you. So you got $172 million. Okay? So let's take the 85 and let's divide that by 2. That's 42. Okay, plus 27 million live gate. Okay. So how do they do it in the UK? I heard they take a percentage off of the UK. So plus 10 million there. That's 70. So now what do they do with the UK with the 50 million? What do they do with the 50 million? How does that work out? You guys in the UK, help me out here. How do they do it in the UK? So you don't know how they do it in the UK then? So you don't know. You don't know how they divide up pay-per. You don't know how the pay-per-view is divvied up in terms of from the broadcaster. How much does Sky take? Because that's 79. There's 79. I took the half off for the US, and I added the live gate and I added the sponsorships in, right? So there's 79 million. There's 79.5 million. That's without the foreign broadcast rights and without the UK pay-per-view. Okay, so let's just say the UK takes 50%. So 79 plus 25. That's 100. That's 105. That's 105 million dollars right there without the foreign right. So 105 divided by 2. It's 52. It's $53 million a piece if they go 50-50. Sky keeps 85% of the pay-per-view revenue. That's impossible. Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio said that it's 50%. Okay. So I got $105 million right here that the fighters divide up. You divide that by 2, that's 52.5 million. So 53 million. Okay? So that would be so Josh was supposed to be making 32. So that would be $21 million more for Anthony Joshua than he's getting for Miller. So what's wrong with that? US pay-per-view have. I have it, yeah. So I came up with $105 million to split up. That's what I came up with, so I don't know. So if they go 50-50, both guys would still make gigantic money. So Joshua, I think if they go 50-50, bare minimum, these guys walk away with $50 million each. So that's just my opinion. And again, We're not even adding broadcast for broadcast rights for other countries. And what if the zone gets the delayed broadcast rights? They're going to have to put up money to do that too. So, well, he's leaving $10 million on the table, in my opinion, if he just accepts the 40. $10 million is a lot of money, right? That's just my opinion. Would you leave $10 million? You know? Would you leave $10 million on the table? That's 20%. So would you take a 20% pay cut? Would you take a 20% pay cut? Oh, so they only have to give, so they don't even go 50-50 over in the UK. They only give 15%. So then there's even more money. Yeah, but he's not fighting Fury. He's fighting Joshua. You can't expect to pay the same amount of money for a Rolls Royce, for a Hyundai, that you would for a Rolls Royce. Remember, you're going from a Hyundai to a Rolls Royce. These guys are going to be driving a Rolls Royce when they fight. That's a Rolls Royce fight. You can't compare Hyundai fights to Rolls Royce fights. You have to look at what the product is. Joshua Wilder is a different product than Wilder Fury. It's a different product. It's a different price point. So you gotta cost out what the fight is. Each fight has a different price tag on it. There's not a flat rate. That's like when you buy a Rolls Royce, it costs more than when you buy a Hyundai. So you can't compare. It's a bad comparison. Doesn't matter. When I was a fucking cook, I only made a certain salary. But when I became manager or when I became director, I made more. So when I went to do the director's job, the person didn't say to me, well, you only made this when you were a cook, so we're going to pay you. We're only going to pay you a little bit more. No, you pay someone what the job is worth. That's all. What was the last pay-per-view to break 500K outside of Canelo fights? There wasn't one that I can remember in recent years. Unless you want to bring Floyd Mayweather into it. I think we just disagree with how big this fight is. That's all. That's just, I mean, we're not going to agree on that. But I mean, whether or not he deserves 50-50, I mean, the fight is just that big now that wherever Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn goes, they get asked about Wilder. Like I just think when you look at where this fight was a year ago compared to what it is now, everybody's talking about this fight. U.S. market does not support you. But you don't know the U.S. market. The U.S. market didn't support when Floyd Mayweather and Oscar De La Hoya did 2.4 million pay-per-view buys. You know why? Because Oscar De La Hoya before that only did 1.4. But before the Floyd Mayweather fight, Oscar De La Hoya's largest pay-per-view buys was 1.4. So in one fight he increased his pay-per-views by 1 million. So you can't. That's a bad statement you're making. The fight is bigger than what you think it is. The U.S. market. You have no data to support that. You have no data to support that. The way you're coming up with that information is incorrect. Because that could have been said to De La Hoya before he fought Floyd Mayweather. And Oscar De La Hoya, his highest pay-per-view fight before fighting Floyd Mayweather was against Felix Trinidad, and it did 1.4 million pay-per-view buys. So if you're going to go by that, then how did Mayweather De La Hoya do 2.4? How? I'm not going to insult you, but you just don't. You can't really talk with me. I mean, there's levels to this, and you're just. I kill you every time we talk. I kill you every time we talk. Like just like you argued to me, you argued with me for about 3 hours one day on YouTube that Anthony Joshua wasn't on a fight to fight with the zone. And you told me that why would they ever do that? Like you just don't listen when I talk to you. Like and then afterwards, like you'll come back and say you were right. How did explain to me how De La Hoya did it with Mayweather when he increased his pay-per-view buys in one fight by 1 million. 1 million. How? What was De La Hoya at the time? He was a 1.4 highest pay-per-view fighter at the time. And before he did the 1.4, he was only doing 800, 900,000. So you can't look at that and say, and Canelo and Golovkin don't even speak English. They don't even speak English. This fight is bigger. You don't think this fight right now is bigger than Canelo Golovkin? Okay, because but he increased it by 1 million. How do you increase it by 1 million? If you did, this is why you're very unintelligent. You're very unintelligent. If he did 1.4 with Felix Trinidad, and then he fights Floyd Mayweather, and then it increases by 1 million, you're gonna sit there and assume Floyd didn't have anything to do with that? Yes, Floyd didn't get 50-50, but guess what? Why do you think the rematch didn't happen? Because Floyd was going to get the same deal he got in the first fight, and he said, fuck off. But this guy's incredible. De La Hoya fights Trinidad and does 1.4 million pay-per-view buys. And then he fights Floyd Mayweather and does 2.4. So he increases his pay-per-view buys by 1 million. And this guy's not going to say that wasn't, it had nothing to do with Floyd Mayweather. Did you see the promotion for that fight in the 24/7s? Floyd Mayweather did a phenomenal job helping build that promotion. For you to sit there and say it was all De La Hoya didn't do anything. That was all Floyd. Floyd was the guy. Obviously, De La Hoya had his reputation as the golden boy, and he was wearing the white hat, and Floyd Mayweather was wearing the black hat. It was, he was the heel, and De La Hoya was the baby face. All you have to do is ask yourself, is this fight, everybody in the chat, let's answer this question. Is Wilder Joshua bigger than Golovkin Canelo? Yes or no? It's not about you have to compare the fight. It's the fight. No one's going to care about other fights. You can't, these are all opinion based. Stronger pay. You're saying that the pay-per-view market was stronger back then than it is now? No, it what? No, it's not. No, it absolutely was not. It was not. It was not stronger back then. No, it wasn't. Stronger pay-per-view market, less digital distribution, HBO promotion, strong characters. What do you mean strong characters? We are Wilder and Joshua are strong characters. What are you talking about? How did Canelo Golovkin, if the market's so bad, then how did two non-English speaking fighters who aren't even American, how did they do 1.2 pay-per-view buys in this country? You don't think Joshua and Wilder can't promote a fight better than Canelo and Golovkin? So even with the streaming, how did Canelo and Golovkin still see? Sometimes people, when it's a real good fight, people say, you know what? I don't want to stream this because I want to get the quality. I don't want to risk the stream going out. Come on, HBO, stop it. Stop it. Stop. The fighters made that fight, not HBO. It was Floyd Mayweather's idea to do the 24/7, not Oscar De La Hoya's. It's Floyd Mayweather's idea. Give him some credit for that. Fucking HBO. Stop it. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. They possibly could. See what happens. You can't compare Golovkin, Canelo to this fight. Those were two non-English speaking fighters, and these are heavyweights. You can't compare middleweights to heavyweights. The market was crappy too. Before Canelo fought Golovkin and Floyd, he did $1 million with Chavez. He did $1 million with Chavez. Chavez isn't big in the United States. Well, I mean, I think that there's so much money to go around right now. That even with 50-50, both guys are going to get paid handsomely. So what difference does it make? Yeah, Wilder and Fury are strong. Wilder and Joshua are very strong characters. I agree. They are strong characters. You're right. Doesn't matter what, like, you can't. There's no way to determine equal commercially. That doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The fight is so big that if they do go 50-50, they're still going to be paid handsomely. Still going to be well and above each man's highest payday. So who cares? So there's greed on both sides then. It's not just one side. That's all. You don't know what HBO did. You have no idea what HBO did. You don't know. You're just making statements that you live in the UK. You don't understand this market over here. You don't know it. If you put the egos aside, exactly. If you put the egos aside and do 50-50, you get the fight done. Then the winner gets more in the rematch. That's all. That's all. Then it becomes 60-40 in the rematch. That's all. Yeah. Well, Golovkin asked for 50-50. Manny asked for 50-50. I mean, Dillian White asked for 60-40 if he won in a rematch. You know, so this is what, you can't hate on a fighter for trying to get the most he can get. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Ransom money, and it's called negotiations, my friend. No one's being kidnapped here, brother. No one's being kidnapped. And plus, too, when you got Fox and ESPN getting behind boxing now. Look what Fox did for Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia. That was their first pay-per-view, and that's edging up to 400,000 pay-per-view buys based off of Fox. Look how Fox got behind that fight. They put 47,000 people in Dallas Stadium, in Cowboy Stadium. I mean, boxing is booming right now. Boxing is booming right now because that was Wilder's decision. Steven Espinosa wanted to put the fight on pay-per-view. See, you don't pay attention. You're slow, brother. You didn't even watch the press conference. Oh my God, you're slow. You didn't listen to that press conference? Why we can't have this debate if you never do your homework. This is why it's embarrassing. You're embarrassing because you don't do your homework. Watch the press conference. Steven Espinosa said, I wanted to put this fight on pay-per-view, and Deontay Wilder said, no, put it on regular Showtime. That's why. That's why. That's why. That's why. That's why. So when Canelo was a pay-per-view star, why did he sign with DAZN then? He was doing fine on pay-per-view. Why did he sign with DAZN then? What are you talking about? Your statement, it just makes no sense. Pacquiao was fought on ESPN. What are you talking about? He fought Jeff Horn on ESPN. What are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. You don't do your homework. You don't do it. You don't. If Fox got behind this, it would be huge. How did Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence do 380,000, close to 400,000 pay-per-view buys? How did that happen? How did that happen? No, I know what I'm talking about. You don't. You say things that you want to happen. I say things that I believe are going to happen. So you made an incorrect statement. You said Manny Pacquiao, once he fought on pay-per-view, he never went back to regular television. You made that statement. You lied. You're wrong. You're wrong. He fought Jeff Horn on ESPN. So you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking. And what does that mean? What does that mean? That has nothing. That all you do. This is your style. You throw straw man arguments out there because once I start proving you wrong, then you start with your straw man. You're horrible. You're just a troll. You're a troll. Hey, is Joshua on a fight to fight with his own? I thought he was locked in, like you said. I thought he was locked in, like you said. Were you right about that one too when you made that? I'm dumb. I'm dumb. No, you're a fucking dummy, you retard. You said Pacquiao never went back to regular television after he fought on pay-per-view. He fought Jeff Horn on ESPN, you fucking dummy. You're an idiot. So shut the fuck up. And then you said, oh, Anthony, what do you think? The Zone's going to allow Joshua to fight on other networks? Of course they locked him in. And I told you he was on a fight to fight. And they confirmed he was on a fight to fight. You were wrong about that. Everything you say, you're fucking wrong about, stupid. Jeff Horn. Lucas Matisse wasn't on pay-per-view either. That's two. You fucking dummy. Now you're straw manning again, you fucking idiot. I'm just close to blocking you because you're so stupid. I'm fucking debating with a preschooler. He fought fucking Lucas Matisse and fucking Jeff Horn on ESPN, you fucking retard. This was the same idiot in the chat that told me. I argued with this guy for 3 hours one day, and I have to have my head examined for talking to this guy. He goes, you think the Zone would allow Joshua to fight on other networks? And then then it was confirmed he's on a fucking fight to fight. And you never admitted you were wrong because you're an idiot. Everyone's biased, but there has to be some. It has to be a point where objectivity does fucking kick in after a while. Like you have zero objectivity. You were just like too biased. You're so biased that you can't even fucking talk normal. You can't even fucking you're just so you can't even fucking step in reality. Two out of how many now? Who gives a fuck? You made a statement. You were wrong. You dummy. You're a fucking idiot. Who fucking cares? Look, this is the biggest fight in boxing right now. That's it. This fight is bigger than Canelo Golovkin is or was. And they did 1.2. So if you don't think this fight could do at least 1 million, then you're a fucking idiot. If Spence Garcia can do fucking 400,000, you don't think this fight can do 1 million? Then what's it do then? You live in the UK. You know zero about this market, you fucking retard. You're disqualified from the debate. I'm not talking to you the rest. I'm not even going to talk to you anymore. You're an idiot. At the tail end of his career. So now you're changing it again, right? Were you wrong? Did you make an incorrect statement? Yes or no? Did you make an incorrect statement? Swallow your fucking pride, okay? Did you make an incorrect statement? Oh, now you're playing the victim? Now you want to play the victim now because you're losing? No, you UK guys are fucking dumb because you fucking ride cock. You don't think that this fight is bigger than Canelo Golovkin. You don't. How did Canelo Golovkin do 1.2 pay-per-view buys when neither guy speaks English? How? Oh, you guys, come on, you want to troll because you're stupid. Why are you downplaying this fight? You're downplaying how big this fight is. Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Go, because you're an idiot. You're so stupid. You won't even admit you were wrong. You made an incorrect statement. Admit you were wrong. Just admit you were wrong. Were you wrong? You said Pac never went back to regular television after he fought on pay-per-view. Answer the question. Were you wrong? I've been wrong before and I came out and admitted it. Why don't you admit it? Were you wrong? Were you wrong? You said Pac never went back to regular television. He fought Batista and he fought Jeff Horn on regular TV. Why? And then he went back to pay-per-view when he fought fucking Broner. You're an idiot. You're a dummy. So if you're gonna call me a fanboy, then you're gonna have to be a fanboy on the other side. So that's the way it is. So if you're not a Wilder Spence fanboy, then you're a Joshua fanboy. You're a Joshua Hearn fanboy. Commercial value dictates that Joshua gets the lion's share. What does that mean, though? I mean, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? Explain yourself. No fighter goes on pay-per-view. Oh, so now you're changing it now. No fighter goes on pay-per-view in his prime, then goes back to non-pay-per-view the next fight. Floyd Mayweather was fighting on pay-per-view when he was out of his prime. There's been fighting like he was out of his prime and he never went back to regular television. Were you wrong about your statement? Yes or no? You made a statement. You said no pay-per-view fighter ever goes back to regular television. And Manny Pacquiao did that. So you were wrong. Just say you were wrong. If you don't say you were wrong, you're a fucking retard and you're a pussy and you don't have the balls to be a man and say you were wrong. You're a fucking coward. You have zero integrity in your fucking body and you're a pussy. And I admit I'm being obtuse. I'm admitting I'm being obtuse because I don't like you. I think you're an asshole. I don't like you. I don't like you because you're like, you know why I like Raphael? Raphael Dawkins talks shit to me all the time, right? But he admits that he's biased, number one, and he admits that that's his opinion. And he said things that were incorrect before, and he said, you know, Beeb, you were right. And I said things that were incorrect before to him, and I said he was right. Him and I are on total opposite ends of the spectrum. But you make statements that are totally false, and you never own up to them when I prove you wrong. Never. That's why I fucking ride with this guy, Raphael Dawkins. I never call him names, ever. And he never calls me names because he respects me and I respect him. We can agree that we're on opposite ends of the spectrum. But what I don't like about you is you say shit that is totally fucking false, and I prove it false, and you still fucking try to say them over and over again. And you never correct your statements. That's why I don't like you. Because you're a coward. You're a fucking substandard human being that has no self-esteem because you don't have the balls to say, Beeb, I was wrong when you're wrong. Okay, then thank you. Now I will get off your ass. That's all. Hey, listen. Here's the facts. Joshua generates more revenue than Wilder. I can't disagree with that. Joshua worldwide is bigger than Wilder. Can't disagree with that either. Joshua's sponsorship-wise more popular than Wilder. But for some reason, this fight is magic. Like, no matter where Joshua goes, he could be fighting anyone. He's fighting Miller. He's fighting Povetkin. Whoever he's fighting Takam. all the questions are about Wilder. Like, my whole thing is this. It's not even about the fighters anymore. Like, it's not even about like the fighters individually anymore. I just think when you take two people, you take two certain people and just put them together, it's magic. It's magic. Like De La Hoya, like Floyd, before he fought De La Hoya, he did 340,000 pay-per-view buys, right? Oscar De La Hoya did 1.4 million pay-per-view buys. And before that, he was doing 800, 900,000, like 800,000, 600,000. So you took a guy. This is a great example. Now listen to this. You took a guy that his highest pay-per-view was 1.4, right? And then you took another guy, okay, that his highest was 340, right? So that fight supposed to do 1.5 million pay-per-view buys tops, but it did 2.4. Why? Because those two guys just had that chemistry together. Like, they had that rivalry. You just put two guys together that just have that rivalry, that two fighters that have a storyline. Like this fight has a storyline. This fight has two very passionate fan bases going back and forth every day. It's not even about the fact that one guy's bigger than the other guy. These two guys together have that formula, and when you put them together, it has the recipe to build a gigantic fight. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And you know what? I don't care that if Joshua says I deserve more than him, I'm not going to argue with that. He has every right to do that. He has every right to do that. But it's the same thing with Wilder. Like, what? When Wilder and his team are looking at this fight, they're not looking at the two sides as halves. They're looking at the totality of this event. They're not looking at Joshua alone. They're looking at us. They're looking at the public interest of this fight. And they're saying to themselves, from where this fight was a year ago to where it is now, it's leaps and bounds ahead of where it was at this same point in time last year. Now, you can say what you want, but Wilder, because he kept talking and kept, putting himself out there via social media, he was going to every fight, talking to everybody, always constantly being interviewed, going on shows. I mean, he really increased his profile over this last year. Now, is he up to Joshua's level? Probably not. But Joshua stayed the same, where Wilder actually made progress. That still doesn't mean he caught up to Joshua. I'm not saying he caught up to Joshua, but he gained a ton of ground. A ton of ground. Ton of ground. So for that, I think he should be rewarded, and he was rewarded based off of that offer. Now, again, if he's getting $40 million off of $120 million, that's a 70-30 split. So, at the very least, I think he'll get more in the next offer. He may get a 55-45. Who knows? But they may even break down and they may just say, you know what, fuck it, we'll do the 50-50. So it is what it is. But I still think if they have Fox getting behind this, and they really promote this fight right, I think this fight can be a blockbuster. I really do. I really do. I really do. That's that. I mean, again, you can't look at you can't look at these other fights. You have to look at, how you gauge this fight? By the public interest. You're underestimating the public interest of this fight. Because you're not accepting what I told you. How did De La Hoya do 1 million more? Because it's the two people together. You have to look at the synergistic effect of putting two specific fighters together. All the other fights don't mean anything. Anything. I have no idea why the biggest pay-per-view star is on an app. I have no idea. These are all irrelevant arguments. It doesn't matter. The public interest for this fight is through the fucking roof. Look at that. That is what you look at. You all of these dummy graphics that you're throwing at me are fucking irrelevant. And the proof is in the pudding. I'm going to say it again. 1.4, 340. You put them together. That's supposed to be a 1.5 million pay-per-view fight going by your logic. But the way those two, they just had that rivalry. You put two people together, it's just fucking magic. That's what it is. My girl just texted me right now. I'm sorry. This is an embarrassing pause right here. I just got to text her back, man. She asked me how my day was at work today, so I got to respond to that. I'm sorry. All right, I'm almost there. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is why, like, you gotta understand. You're sitting there telling me about other fights. Let's talk about this fight. Let's talk about the interest in this fight. Let's talk about the interest in this fight. Because people are talking. I go to my gym, and people that don't want boxing, they ask me about this fight. That's why. Casual fans are talking about this fight because if Deontay Wilder goes to all these events, being on all these, Deontay Wilder's on Fox now. He's on the shows. They're pushing him out there. He's on First Take. He's on The Breakfast Club. He's on Undisputed. He's on Undisputed now. I'm just telling you. That's why. All of these mainstream sports shows are getting behind Wilder now. They look what they did with Spence. Spence and Garcia are not supposed to do 400,000 pay-per-view buys. They're not. That fight is trending up to 400,000 pay-per-view buys. They're not supposed to do that. How did they do that? Give Fox credit for that. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything, though. You're missing it again. You're missing it. He fought Joshua in the UK on pay-per-view. You guys have listen. You guys have better fans than us. I'm conceding that point. You got better fans than us. We would never stay up to 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning to watch a fighter. We just wouldn't do it. But we will pay for this fight. We will pay for this fight. This is just one of those fights. I'm telling you right now, this is just one. This is just one of those fights. Can I tell you something too? This fight, I'm going to make a statement right now. You tell me if this is ridiculous because I don't know your market. Could this fight do 2 million pay-per-view buys in your market? So why isn't he on pay-per-view versus Brazil? Did he not listen to what I just said? Did he not? You're comparing a Hyundai to a Rolls Royce. When you buy a Hyundai, you're not going to pay the same price that you're going to get when you pay for a Rolls Royce. You cannot compare apples to oranges. When you put these two guys together, it is magic. This fight is bigger than any other right now. It's the biggest fight in boxing. not Brazil. Has nothing to do with Brazil. Let's talk about this fight. Let's not talk about let's talk about the public interest in this fight. Let's not talk about other shit. Let's not talk about stuff that's irrelevant. Sorry, guys. Probably gonna. Okay. Yeah. All these freaking people texting me at the. Now I got my freaking sister texting me. What's going on, Exisco? You don't you just I can't argue with you because you just don't understand it. You don't understand it. Forget it. Forget it. You don't understand it. I just explained to you I gave you an example and I explained it to you and you don't get it. You just don't get it. You don't get it. You don't get it. Floyd Mayweather did 340 pay-per-view buys before he fought De La Hoya. De La Hoya did 1.4 million pay-per-view buys before he fought Floyd Mayweather. They fought. They did 2.4 million. Why? Explain that. Explain that. Can't defeat us. You know what? I'm killing you because you guys don't understand. Guys don't understand. Because it's this fight. This fight is just big. That's what it is. There's something about this fight that everyone wants to see it. Everyone wants to see it. That's what it is. That's what it is. We have 19 champions right now. You guys only have 5. And then I was listening to an interview the other day with Eddie, with Kugan Cassius telling Eddie, things aren't looking good for us right now, Eddie. What do you think? Why do you think all the UK fighters are coming over here to fight? Yeah, I thought he should have fought on Fox too. I agree with that. Why are all the UK fighters coming over here now to fight? Why are things looking bleak over there according to Eddie Hearn and Kugan Cassius? You know? Yeah. All right. Okay. So I just think that the fight's going to be huge. I'm not worried about it. I think the pay-per-view buys are going to be great. But yeah, man, I'm actually gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna wrap this up now. I want to thank everybody in the chat. If I can get it, I'm gonna tell you guys something right now. If I can get a couple super chats, I'll do a 5 fingers of death freestyle for you guys right now. If I can get a couple super chats before I go. Hold on for 1 second here. I'm sorry, guys. I got all these texts coming in, man, at once. I can't. I got to respond to them because they're important. Sorry. I wish I had Jason. I wish I had Jason here help me out doing the back end for me, talking. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. So let's see what we got here. All right. Even Mexico is light on talent. Not look too good for my amigos. Okay. Peace be, despite your belligerent foolishness. Well, Papoose, I have to call you out, man. I gotta put you online. Raphael is like, I'm like, there's that movie Unbreakable. I'm like that guy David, and Raphael's like Mr. Glass. Like he's like a true nemesis for me. You're not even like on my level as a true nemesis. Like Raphael's my Mr. Glass. Like you gotta like step your game up. Got to step your game up if you want to battle with the Beeb here. That's the thing. You got to step your game up. Guys, it's getting late. I want to start. I don't hate you guys, man. You guys say you hate me, but you keep coming back here. So that shows me that makes me feel good that you keep coming back here. I'm touched. Because I don't see you guys in any other people's chats, to be honest with you, but you keep coming back here because you know I kick the real shit over here. You know that. All right, Beeb is out. Make sure you check us out, Ringside Reporter Podcast, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Sunday night. Have a great night, and we will talk to you soon.